January 11, 2023, a 45-year-old woman from Colombia sits down in a small studio with a young Argentine producer, looks dead into a camera, and proceeds to set the entire internet on fire. No screaming, no crying, just a cold beat, a handful of ice-cold lines, and the kind of surgical precision that only comes from a woman who has been holding it in for months. Within 24 hours, the song shatters global streaming records. Within days, the whole world is breaking down every single bar like it is evidence in a murder trial, because everybody already knows exactly who it is about. Her name is Shakira, and the man on the receiving end of those lyrics is one of the most famous soccer players alive, the father of her 2 children, the man she gave more than a decade of her life to. Welcome back to True Celebrity Stories, because today, y'all, this is not just a breakup song. This is a woman taking the most humiliating chapter of her life and flipping it into a worldwide anthem. But to understand how she ended up in that chair, you have to rewind all the way to the beginning. Because the story of Shakira is the story of a girl who kept getting told no and kept going anyway. She was born Shakira Isabel Mubarak Ripoll on February 2, 1977, in Barranquilla, on the Caribbean coast of Colombia. Her father was of Lebanese descent, and that heritage matters, because it is where she first picked up the belly dancing that would later become her whole signature on a global stage. As a little girl, she was writing poems before she could barely write sentences. She wrote her first song when she was 8 years old, after watching her father grieve the death of her older brother. That is who this kid was from the jump, a child taking pain and turning it into art. Which, keep that in your back pocket, because it becomes the entire theme of her life. But here is the part nobody tells you. Shakira got rejected. Hard. There is a story she has told for years about being kicked out of her school choir as a kid because the music teacher said her voice was too strong, that her heavy vibrato sounded more like a goat than a singer. Picture that. One of the most recognizable voices on the planet. And as a child, a teacher basically told her she could not sing. She kept going. She signed her first record deal with Sony in Colombia when she was just 13 years old. And then, her first 2 albums flopped. Magia in 1991, Peligro in 1993. Both of them went pretty much nowhere. By the time she was a teenager, Shakira already had a record contract, 2 commercial failures, and a music teacher in her head telling her she sounded like a farm animal. Most people would have folded right there. She did not fold. In 1995, she released Pies Descalzos, and everything changed. The album turned her into a star across Latin America. She followed it in 1998 with Donde Están los Ladrones, which made her one of the biggest names in the entire Spanish-speaking world. And then, she made the move that separated her from almost every other Latin artist of her generation. She decided to cross over into English. In 2001, she dropped Laundry Service, led by the single Whenever Wherever, and suddenly, this Colombian woman with a wild voice and the hips that moved like nothing American audiences had ever seen was all over MTV. By 2006, she released Hips Don't Lie with Wyclef Jean, and that song did not just chart, it took over the entire world. Shakira was no longer a Latin star, she was a global superstar, full stop. And then came the moment that set the rest of her life in motion. In 2010, FIFA picked Shakira to record the official song of the World Cup in South Africa. That song was Waka Waka, This Time for Africa, and it became one of the best-selling World Cup songs of all time. For the music video, they brought in a handful of professional soccer players. One of them was a tall young defender for FC Barcelona and the Spanish national team. His name was Gerard Piqué. He was 23 years old. Shakira was 33, 10 years older than him, at the absolute peak of her global fame, and the two of them connected almost instantly. By 2011, they were a couple, and the world thought it was watching a fairy tale. For a while, it really did look like one. Shakira and Piqué became one of the most famous power couples on the planet. He was a Champions League winning footballer, a World Cup champion, a Barcelona legend. She was a Grammy-winning pop icon. They set up their life together in Barcelona. They had 2 sons, Milan in 2013 and Sasha in 2015. And here is a detail that tells you everything about how she saw this relationship. They never got married. Shakira has said over the years that she liked keeping him as her boyfriend. That marriage felt like it might break the magic. She built her entire adult life around this man and this family in Spain. She slowed down her music. She put her career on the back burner. She moved her whole world to his city, in his country. And in February 2020, the two of them stood on top of everything when Shakira headlined the Super Bowl halftime show alongside Jennifer Lopez, performing for over 100 million people. From the outside, she had it all: the career, the man, the kids, the legacy. What nobody watching knew was that the whole thing was already starting to crack. In June of 2022, Shakira and Gerard Piqué announced that they were separating after 11 years together. And the way it came out was brutal. This was not a quiet, mutual, conscious uncoupling. The split landed in the middle of swirling allegations, widely reported in the Spanish press, that Piqué had been unfaithful to her with a much younger woman. That woman was publicly identified as Clara Chia Marti, who reportedly worked at Piqué's company. The tabloids ran wild. There was even a now famous story that circulated, that Shakira figured something was off, in part because jam kept disappearing from the fridge while she was away working. Jam that neither she nor her kids ate. Now take the jam story with a grain of salt. That is tabloid territory. But what is not in dispute is that the most stable, public, decade-long relationship of Shakira's life blew up in front of the entire world, and the reporting pointed squarely at infidelity. Imagine being one of the most famous women on earth, and having the collapse of your family turned into international gossip in real time. And here is where Shakira did the most Shakira thing possible. She did not go quiet. She did not hide. She went back to that little girl who wrote a song at 8 years old to process her brother's death, and she picked up the exact same weapon. She started releasing music. First came Te Felicito, then Monotonia in late 2022. Songs the whole world read as being about the breakup and the heartbreak. Then in February 2023, she teamed up with fellow Colombian superstar Karol G for TQG, a track whose title roughly translates to "You Are Too Small for Me," and it shot straight to #1 on the global charts. But the nuclear bomb, the one we opened this video with, was Shakira BZRP Music Sessions Volume 53, released in January 2023 with the producer Bizarrap. That song was a phenomenon. It broke records for the biggest Latin track debut in history, and it was savage. Without ever screaming or losing her composure, Shakira used the lyrics to take direct aim at her ex and his new relationship, including pointed lines comparing herself favorably to the new girlfriend, and even name-dropping brands to make her point, contrasting luxury against cheap. Those brand mentions were so effective that companies named in the song actually saw their public profile move overnight. The whole thing was a masterclass in cold, calculated revenge, served as art, and the music industry rewarded her for it. In November 2023, the song won Song of the Year at the Latin Grammys. Let that sink in. She took the single most painful, most public betrayal of her life and turned it into one of the most awarded and most streamed Spanish-language songs ever recorded. The girl who got told she sounded like a goat just turned her divorce into a trophy. But while all of that revenge music was dominating the charts, Shakira was quietly fighting a second war, and this one could have actually put her in prison. Because at the very same time the world was watching her breakup play out, the government of Spain was coming for her. Back in December 2018, Spanish prosecutors had charged Shakira with tax fraud. Their claim was that between 2012 and 2014, she had failed to pay around 14.5 million euros in taxes. The whole case came down to one question: where did Shakira actually live during those years? Officially, her residence was listed in the Bahamas, but Spanish prosecutors argued that she had actually spent more than half of each year living in Spain with Piqué, which under Spanish law would have made her a tax resident who owed taxes on her worldwide income right there in Spain. And the stakes were not small. If Shakira had been convicted in that case, she was looking at the possibility of more than 8 years in prison and tens of millions of euros in fines. She publicly denied any wrongdoing. She said she had paid everything she owed the moment the tax office told her about it, and for a long time, she refused to settle. She turned down a deal in 2022 and said she was ready to take it all the way to trial because she believed she had done nothing wrong. So the trial was set for November 2023 in Barcelona. On the very first day, in a courtroom, in a matter of minutes, Shakira changed her mind and took the deal. She accepted the charges. She got a 3-year prison sentence that was suspended, meaning she would not actually serve it, and she paid a fine of more than 7 million euros on top of the back taxes and interest she had already paid. In her statement, she said something that cut through all the noise. She basically said she was done. She said she had made the decision to finally close the matter for the sake of her kids, who did not want to watch their mother sacrifice her own well-being fighting this battle, and that for her, winning now meant getting her time back for her children and her career. After years of swearing she would fight to the end, she chose her peace and her sons over the principle. And honestly, after the year she had just been through, who could blame her? Now, if the story ended there, you might walk away thinking, okay, global superstar gets caught dodging taxes, pays up, moves on. But that is not the whole picture. And this is the part that makes Shakira's story so wild. Because Spain did not stop at one case. In July 2023, prosecutors opened a second tax investigation, this time over her 2018 income, accusing her of owing roughly another 6.5 million euros through an offshore company. Shakira denied that one too, and in May 2024, that second case fell apart. Prosecutors themselves recommended dropping it, citing insufficient evidence that she had intentionally tried to defraud anybody. The court shelved it, so that is one case settled, one case thrown out. But the biggest twist was still coming. Fast forward to May 2026. A Spanish court looked at yet another piece of the tax fight, this one tied to the year 2011, and Shakira was flat out acquitted. The court found that she had actually spent only 163 days in Spain that year, which is below the 183-day threshold the law requires to count someone as a tax resident. In other words, the court agreed that for that year, she did not legally owe Spain the money they had taken. And here's the kicker. The court ordered the Spanish treasury to pay Shakira back. We are talking about a reimbursement reported to be in the range of 60 million euros, which is close to $70 million, including interest. Her lawyer called the whole thing an 8-year ordeal that took an unacceptable toll on her. So after almost a decade of being painted as a tax cheat, after settling the big case to protect her kids, Shakira ended up being vindicated in court and getting tens of millions of dollars back from the very government that had been hunting her. And while she was fighting all of that, in courtrooms and in the press, she was also doing something most people in her position would not have had the strength to do. She was rebuilding. In 2023, she packed up her life in Barcelona, the city she had moved to for a man who was no longer in her corner, and she relocated to Miami with her 2 sons to start completely fresh. In March 2024, she released her first full album in 7 years. She called it Las Mujeres Ya No Lloran, which translates to Women No Longer Cry, a line pulled straight from her revenge anthem. The album was a statement of purpose, an entire body of work about turning heartbreak into power. It debuted at #1 in multiple countries, and it went on to win the Grammy for Best Latin Pop Album. Then, in 2025, she took it on the road, launching the Las Mujeres Ya No Lloran World Tour and selling out stadiums across the Americas. She kept performing on the biggest stages in the world. By the spring of 2026, she was headlining a massive free concert on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro in front of an enormous crowd. So let us actually count where she stands now. The relationship that defined her adult life is over. The man she built that life around is out of the picture. And Shakira is somehow more famous, more awarded, more financially powerful, and more respected as an artist than she was before the whole thing fell apart. She turned a betrayal into the most commercially successful era of her entire career. And then in 2026, Shakira reminded the entire planet of something they might have forgotten. She is not just a pop star, she is the queen of the World Cup. FIFA picked her to record the official song for the 2026 World Cup, the gigantic tournament being co-hosted across the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The track is called Die Die, a title that means come on, and she recorded it with the Nigerian Afrobeat superstar Burna Boy. It dropped in May 2026, and it is her second official World Cup anthem, 16 years after Waka Waka first turned her into the face of the tournament back in 2010. She even arranged for her royalties from the song to be donated to a FIFA education charity. And when the World Cup kicked off in Mexico City, there she was, front and center on the field, performing Die Die in front of a global audience of hundreds of millions. As if that was not enough, she is also set to co-headline the first ever halftime show at the World Cup final on July 19, 2026, sharing that historic stage with Madonna and BTS. So sit with that timeline for a second. The same handful of years where her family fell apart, where the press tore her private life to shreds, and where a government tried to put her behind bars, is the exact same stretch where she dropped a record-breaking revenge album, won Grammys, sold out a world tour, got vindicated in court to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, and got handed the keys to the single biggest sporting event on the planet. Not bad for the little girl they threw out of the school choir. That is what makes Shakira's story different from almost every other celebrity heartbreak you will ever watch. Most people, when their life blows up in public, they shrink. They disappear for a few years. They come back smaller. Shakira did the opposite. She took the worst year of her life, the cheating allegations, the public humiliation, the criminal tax charges, the threat of prison, and she squeezed every single drop of it into music, into court victories, and into a comeback that put her right back on top of the world. The little girl who got thrown out of the choir, who watched her first 2 albums flop, who got told her voice sounded like a goat, grew into a woman who, in her late 40s, stared down a broken family and an entire national government at the same time, and walked away winning on both fronts. Whether you think she handled all of it with grace, or whether you think she turned her own children's father into content, one thing is not up for debate. Shakira refused to be a victim in her own story. Do you believe Shakira turning her heartbreak into the biggest music of her entire career was a powerful woman reclaiming her own narrative and refusing to suffer in silence? Or was it a mother putting the private pain of her kid's father on blast for the whole world just to sell records and win an award? And do you think the Spanish government spent the better part of a decade hunting an innocent woman who was finally proven right in court? Or do you think a global superstar with offshore companies only started playing fair once prison was actually on the table? Let us know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments, and stay tuned for more true celebrity stories.